Hi, I'm Dongxiang. Welcome to Digging into China, where we explore China in depth to review unique perspectives. On August 7, 2025, Chinese Premier Li Qiang signed State Council Order No. 814, promulgating the State Council's decision to amend the regulations of the People's Republic of China on the administration of the entry and exit of foreigners. These amendments take effect on October 1, 2025. The sole modification in this revision is the addition of a new K visa category under ordinary visas, explicitly issued to young foreign scientific and technological talent with a bachelor's degree or higher entering China. Starting in late September, this K visa has ignited a massive online backlash on Chinese social media platforms. Numerous Chinese netizens argue that the K visa's threshold, merely a bachelor's degree or above, effectively permits foreign university graduates to enter China and compete with local youth for employment. Amid soaring youth unemployment rates in China, the government's importation of foreign young people raises a pointed question. Is this handing over job opportunities meant for Chinese citizens to outsiders? With domestic unemployment at such elevated levels, why is the Chinese government introducing the K visa with such lenient criteria to attract young foreigners? Today, let us examine the K visa, which has provoked this intense domestic controversy. First, consider the existing visa options that the Chinese government offers for attracting foreign talent. Prior to the K visa's introduction, China provided two primary categories for this purpose: the R visa and the Z visa. Both necessitate compliance with the classification standards for foreigners working in China as detailed in official government documents. These standards categorize foreign talent into three tiers: A, B, and C. Tier A encompasses high-end foreign experts urgently needed by China, including scientists, technological leaders, international entrepreneurs, and specialized professionals with rare skills. Tier B covers foreign professionals possessing at least 2 years of work experience and a bachelor's degree or higher, who are essential to China's socio-economic progress. Tier C includes foreign students and those engaged in short-term work of less than 3 months. Tier A and B both involve a points-based evaluation along with an employment contract or invitation letter from a Chinese entity. High-end Tier A talent applies for the R visa, while Tier B professionals in standard positions seek the Z visa. In contrast, the new K visa requires only a bachelor's degree or higher, along with engagement in education or scientific research. It dispenses with the need for a contract or invitation from a Chinese employer, and it does not demand 2 years of relevant experience. Moreover, the revised regulations specify that the K visa is granted to young foreign scientific and technological talent. Unlike the R and Z visas, which impose no explicit age limits, the K visa is expressly designed for young foreigners. Additionally, it waives the requirement for proof of employment history, income, or financial reserves. The visa is valid for up to 5 years, permitting entry into China for a maximum of 180 days annually. In essence, a foreign university graduate holding a bachelor's degree can apply and reside in China without any documentation verifying work experience, professional competence, or economic stability. On a global scale, these requirements represent the lowest threshold among major nations' visa programs, without exception. The Chinese government's stipulation for the K visa make it evident that this category is not intended for foreigners aiming to secure employment in China. Young foreigners qualifying under such minimal criteria are unlikely to possess the language proficiency or specialized skills demanded by Chinese employers, which explains the absence of any employer contract or invitation requirement. In my assessment, the primary impetus behind the government's creation of the K-visa is consumption. Domestic spending has long hindered China's economic development, and the rampant overcapacity is now curbing investment expansion. Investment has traditionally constituted the largest component of China's GDP, comprising approximately 45%. According to official statistics released by the government, fixed asset investment declined by 1.2% year-on-year in June, with the drop accelerating to 6.3% in July and reaching 9.3% in August. Should investment falter, coupled with waning exports, China's economic troika of consumption, investment, and exports would be reduced to consumption alone, which is ironically the weakest link among them. To bolster this consumption driver, reliance on China's current population is no longer feasible. Over the past decade, households have accumulated debt through housing, vehicles, and anticipatory spending, elevating the macro leverage ratio from 17% in 2008 to 63% in 2024. Concurrently, average wages across society have fallen since the pandemic, resulting in frequent personal credit crises amid excessive indebtedness. At present, more than 54 million individuals in China, representing about 10% of the urban labor force, are barred from high-end consumption or deemed uncredit-worthy due to defaults, including those with elevated debt burdens who have not yet defaulted. An estimated 150 million people are deleveraging their personal balance sheets, impacting a total household population exceeding 450 million. Research from Chinese economic institutions reveals that post-pandemic, the demographic with the greatest purchasing power is urban retirees aged 58 and older, rather than the middle-aged and young workers who typically exhibit peak consumption demands. This finding corresponds directly to the 63% macro leverage ratio and the 54 million restricted individuals. Household consumption potential has been effectively exhausted by the prior decades' over-leveraging. With an extractive societal framework, the Chinese government employs a dual strategy of inducement and exploitation to accumulate societal wealth. It first propagated the illusion of perpetually rising property values, enticing households to exhaust the savings across generations and incur substantial loans for home purchases. Even after this housing myth collapsed, rather than moderating its extraction or facilitating household deleveraging through income growth, the government persisted in draining resources via social security levies and personal income taxes, safeguarding revenues for itself and the privileged class. During economic upturns, land appreciation enabled wealth accumulation through sales. In downturns, per capita taxation intensified. Irrespective of conditions, governmental and elite incomes remain prioritized, with ordinary citizens' welfare largely disregarded. Yet, as deflation worsens, sustaining revenues through poll taxes approaches its breaking point. Social security deductions now consume about 40% of average citizens' earnings, exceeding historical per capita tax burdens from any Chinese dynasty. Under this fiscal strain, consumer spending is poised for collapse, with the citizens curtailing expenditures amid declining investment and exports. Future GDP growth becomes uncertain. It is at this juncture that the government has shifted focus to foreigners. This underlies the genuine rationale for the K-visa. Domestic citizens have been depleted and can no longer augment GDP via consumption. New contributors are needed for spending and tax contributions. The government overlooks scales of finances as long as foreigners arrive and engage in daily activities, eating, drinking, and residing. Each generates value-added tax revenue. Thus, the K visa essentially invites young foreigners to China for consumption purposes. Unexpectedly, however, the K visa has provoked widespread dissent among mainland Chinese netizens, chiefly over fears of job competition from foreign youth. From late September, opposition has escalated beyond expectations. On September 29th, a surge of complaints flooded the National People's Congress online petition portal regarding the K visa, overwhelming and crashing the site into maintenance. On September 30th, the People's Daily issued a commentary entitled, "Misinterpreting the K visa only misleads the public, defending the policy only to face immediate rebuttals from social media." The government failed to foresee that a visa meant to stimulate foreign youth spending would exacerbate the acute sensitivity around high unemployment, galvanizing broad resistance. From the authorities' perspective, societal instability remains containable. Despite elevated joblessness, citizens habituated to exploitation have grown desensitized to daily hardships, lacking motivation or capacity for change. Thus, managing this docile populace suffice internally, while external sources like prolonged foreign consumption offer economic supplementation. During the pandemic, to safeguard production from outbreaks, the government curtailed citizens' mobility and employment, precipitating income losses and widespread business failures from disrupted chains. Yet, it viewed this as efficacious since controls containing the virus spurred exports and propelled GDP in the initial 2 years. This perceived triumph reinforced a paradigm of subordinating domestic welfare to growth. The K visa extends this logic. Faltering internal consumption prompts pivoting to foreigners via relaxed visas. Such policies commenced last year, including extended visa-free transits and expanded exempt nations. Nevertheless, persistent domestic spending shortfalls over the past 2 years rendered those measures ineffective in boosting foreign inflows. Hence, in August, the government escalated by setting long-term visa threshold at global lows to lure extended stays and incremental consumption. In this regard, the K visa signifies abandonment of domestic youth, relinquishing expectations of their role in economic vitality through spending. This parallels pandemic-era controls, which sidelined citizens' labor and consumption for export-led expansion. Post-pandemic U.S. protectionism dismantled the reliance on trade surplus, redirecting inward-reviewed consumption in disarray from prior neglect, compelling reliance on foreigners for revival. For ordinary Chinese, however, disengagement and downgraded spending arise from governmental appropriation of GDP's bulk, allotting remnants to 1.4 billion people and denying equitable wages or opportunities. The ongoing private sector collapses and unemployment surges stem directly from the governmental initial forsaking of citizens' livelihoods for export prioritization via economic lockdowns. As youth confront the despairing conditions and resort to passivity, the K visa's promotion of foreign entrants encroaches on their precarious remnants. Chinese youth backed against existential cliffs perceived it as existential threat, while officials remain immersed in visions of foreign spending influxes, blind to the profound desperation. China's ruling elite have perpetually assumed infinite public endurance, echoed in anecdotes like a leader's remark that Chinese can subsist on grass for 3 years. Yet the K-visa backlash signals societal limits to unending oppression, with the citizens voicing dissent amid prevailing deflationary rules. The government's instinct is not revitalizing society or reigniting youth aspirations, but discarding local talent for foreign prospects. When the regime forsakes the youth embodying its future, it invites universal repudiation. Thank you so much for watching. If you find this video helpful, please like it, drop a comment below, and hit the subscribe button right here. It really helps YouTube suggest my video to others. I'll be back with more content soon. Until then, be well.